Hey friends, it's Kurt from Transformative Journeys again, out on another road, and I'm continuing this little brief video series on the hero's journey and what it's all about. So today I'm on a little secret stash road I haven't been on in a couple of years. I don't know if you'll recognize the surroundings or not. And actually, let me tip the camera up so you can see what's behind me. Yeah, vineyards. This is a road called Ida Clayton, and it's north of Calistoga. And it is, it's a fun road, but it's pretty bumpy, pretty rough. So see if we can see it out there today on my Moto Guzzi. So the bike is appropriate, although you could ride it on any bike. Anyway, let's continue. The last time we talked, I ended talking about the stage or the milestone in the hero's journey called the approach of the innermost cave. And I actually kind of bled on from that and began to describe the next milestone without actually calling it out. So we talked a little bit in Lord of the Rings about Frodo and the innermost cave for him was the approach to Mount Doom. Going into Mordor, making his way across Mordor, going through all those trials, and then ultimately getting to Mount Doom. And the next step that I began to describe last time is the ordeal. Once the hero, once the protagonist enters into that innermost cave, the cave that contains both their greatest treasure, but is protected, that is defended, that is obstructed by their greatest fear. And that's what he does when he goes in to actually, drop the ring into the molten lava. That is actually the ordeal, getting up that mountain and in the cave, and the fight that he goes through there. So this is, you approach the thing that you fear most, and the ordeal is actually the confronting of that fear. It's the actual dealing with that fear and addressing it directly and facing the ordeal that follows, because lots of times the fear is well-founded. Once the hero has approached their innermost cave, they've gone through their ordeal, they've survived their ordeal, then they get the treasure or the boon, the reward. There's different terms for it, but I think Campbell called it the boon. It is the gift that their transformation enables them to bring back to the rest of the society. The gift is not something to be kept for the hero alone. It is something that the hero shares, that by becoming who they are always meant to be, they fully fulfill their role here on Earth. So that's really what happens next with Frodo. The boon, the reward, was the destruction of the Ring of Power. But in other stories, and I want to switch to another hero's journey story arc in a movie that I highly recommend. I think you should see it. Is a movie called Arrival that stars Amy Adams, and it's sort of a sci-fi movie. It's a Denis Villeneuve movie in which aliens come to Earth, and she plays a linguist who goes through all these stages of the hero's journey and goes through the approach to the innermost cave, goes through her ordeal, and ultimately the boon that she brings back in that movie is the gift of the aliens' language. That's what the aliens came to give, but nobody understood what they were trying to give. So this is what she brings back. This is how she transforms the world, is by approaching her greatest fears, confronting those fears, and bringing back the boon to share with everyone else. This is a critical stage, and it's really in many ways part of the fulfillment. The journey's not over, but this is one of the most important stages. Following that, then the hero, the protagonist, needs to get back home. We see the long journey, for instance, in Lord of the Rings, that, I'm sorry, there's a car coming, it just distracted me briefly, that has Frodo and Pippin and Merry and Sam going back to the Shire. So the road back is a very big deal. And you can't bring the reward unless you can bring it back. The reward doesn't do any good unless you can bring it back. And there's still trials, still tests to be faced on that journey back. So I think that's enough for today. I've gone on a little bit. It's a beautiful day. I suggest you get out on your bike and ride. I suggest you look into the hero's journey and you begin to think about how in your life you face these things. When you've heard the call to adventure, when you've had to address or approach the innermost cave. Have you yet? Will you? This is what we do on Transformative Journeys. Come out and join us. It will be an experience. Bye-bye.